So we need to talk about these next generation consoles because Digital Foundry have come out and made a comparison build and benchmark the thing. Not only that, but they are comparing the next generation CPU of both the Project Scarlett and PS5 to that of a Ryzen 3700X, which I find to be pretty interesting. We'll talk about that more in the video. We've also got some information from Microsoft themselves that maybe they should have taken into account when doing all of this as well. So I'm going to go over their information, their hypothesis, go over it. You can let me know what you think down below as we go through this. Of course, I will link sources to all of my claims, and let's have a good time. What is going on, guys? Dealer here, back again with yet another video talking about the next Xbox and of course the PlayStation 5, as Digital Foundry are running numbers and making some very interesting claims. We'll talk more about that. See, these claims, I mean, some claims in here that I would have had idiots making videos on me over had I made them. Just think about that for a second. But again, very interesting. I don't agree with every single thing here, but for the most part, yeah, pretty straightforward.
It all sort of kicks off with this, which is something I did recently, a bit of work where obviously we've got next-gen consoles coming, but we don't really know how powerful they're going to be. We know what kind of GPU architecture they're going to be using, CPU and GPU. Now the question is, just how much more powerful will they be?
Now, as I said, I agree with a lot of things they talked about here, and this isn't really something you can agree or not agree on. It's just fact. Something really cool that they've done here is they've downclocked current navi architecture on the PC side to meet what would be something like a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X clock speed, to show that even if the next-gen consoles had the same clock, they would still be drastically more powerful. It also demonstrates why teraflops will no longer be the selling point of consoles. They will no longer tout T-flops going forward. I've said this several podcasts ago, as recently as one of my last podcasts. There's a reason that they will not talk about teraflops when moving forward with the next Xbox and PlayStation. Think about it, the Xbox One X has 6 teraflops of compute performance, while the next Xbox, even though it will be about twice as quick on the GPU side, will only have around 9.5 or so. And when the general consumer says, look, it went from 6 to 9, what? That's not very much at all. Why would I even bother? Well, that doesn't really do it justice, nor is it the whole story. When it comes to gaming performance on Navi, 9.5 T-flops is more like 13 or so on Vega. So keep that in mind. It just doesn't work the same way. Therefore, they will not use that as a metric, at least while advertising, right? So not only is it much faster, even at the same exact clock, but add to that an additional 500 to 800 or so megahertz, you have a much faster GPU. Now, this next section is where they display their PC build, meant to mimic the next Xbox and PlayStation 5. And you know what, there's a lot of interesting stuff here.
A PC that's as close to as possible to what we know about the next generation consoles. And here it is. So, specs. Ryzen 7 3700X, 8 cores, 16 threads. It's recently been confirmed by Sony that the PlayStation 5 will have those 16 threads, those 8 cores. And so yeah, Ryzen, Zen 2 architecture. It's a match for what Sony are going to be delivering. There will be some cache differences.
Now, we've got to talk about this 3700X claim from Digital Foundry. Honestly, guys, keep your expectations tame. There is a big difference between these desktop class CPUs and the low power draw APUs that will be in these new consoles. I mean, think about it. The PC they were testing this on, at minimum, was consuming 2 or 3 times the power of a console. Big power usually means big power draw, and these APUs in these consoles are low power parts for a reason. Does that mean they're not capable? No, of course not. But I'm just saying that there is a big difference here. Now, as I said, 8 Zen 2 cores, very capable, more capable than any console today by far, 60 FPS, yada yada yada. I understand why you would make the connection in terms of architecture, of course, but in terms of performance, I do not believe them to be the same. We'll see how that turns out. Another thing Digital Foundry talks about is 8 core, 16 threads have been confirmed by Sony. And in a way, they have. I guess they have. Essentially, what is being reported on now is that Sony's official Japanese website has confirmed 8-core 16-thread for the PS5. Famitsu then reported it, and unfortunately, most outlets are going with Famitsu reported it, even though Famitsu has been wrong about plenty of things, instead of going with Sony's Japanese website is confirming it. So it made this information kind of tricky to even figure out. But yes, apparently, according to that Japanese website, 8 cores, 16 threads are there. So that's great. That's one of the best case scenarios for the CPU of these upcoming consoles, and we know Microsoft are definitely going to follow suit. This, of course, means better simulation, AI, animations, destruction, and more. Again, more threads is great, but what about overall performance from that of consoles like the Xbox One X CPU to that of Project Scarlett and PlayStation 5? Well, Digital Foundry have some more interesting takes on what this might look like, though it admittedly clashes with a little bit of information Microsoft have already confirmed.
So, once we factor in the generational leap of Ryzen, along with the extra frequency, we get a huge increase to performance here. So, essentially I think we're looking at, well, let's just take a look at my notes here. But I think it's a 6.7 times increase to performance.
Now this stream they're on is extremely long, but basically what you just saw is them doing the math of their hypothetical Ryzen CPU, aka the next generation Xbox or PS5 CPU, and comparing its multi-core score to that of current generation processors like the PS4 CPU, and ultimately coming to the conclusion that the new CPU in the next generation consoles hitting 2020 are almost 7 times faster than that of the base consoles. Now if you remember, I reported on a story where Phil Spencer confirmed that the next Xbox's CPU is 4 times faster than that of the Xbox One X. And if you recall, the Xbox One X's CPU is somewhat faster than the base Xbox's CPU. Many people don't know that he actually confirmed this, so I'll run the clip, I'll link the source, and then we'll do the math ourselves to see how close these numbers are. A bit of clarification on the performance of Project Scarlett. PC Games Hardware says, does the already mentioned statement 4X relate to the performance of the entire console? Phil Spencer replies, no, that is a pure CPU statement, meaning that if you have a game right now that's running 30 FPS before it's bottlenecked, maybe it's running 33 FPS bottleneck, 40 FPS bottleneck, you can quadruple that amount of frames and sustain it on the CPU side, provided you have the GPU overhead. So just something to consider. Digital Foundry have the Ryzen chip doing over 1700 on their multi-core score, while a 4x boost for the Xbox One X on that same chart and scale would be under 1500. Add to that, the Ryzen chip was also only doing 3.2 gigahertz when that chip actually does around 5 with not much of an issue. Now, of course, this was intentional, but my point is simply telling people that it will have a 3700X in it kind of gives people the wrong impression because they don't consider all of these things. Lower clocks, lower voltage, but on the other hand, you do have a bit of optimization that goes on with the console side. So let me know how close you think this stuff might be. Now, Digital Foundry also speak on the GPU capability of the next generation consoles as well, and they test 2 different cards in particular, the AMD Radeon 5700 and the 5700 XT. Now we know no matter what that you are at least getting 5700 performance, but I would kick it up a notch. In the past, I predicted either GTX 1080 or something like RTX 2070 performance, and that is a ton of performance for a console, especially a well-balanced console. This thing is going to blow people's minds, especially, of course, console guys. If you're a PC guy and you're disappointed, what did you expect? You're getting this thing for $400 or $500. Don't expect it to destroy or match your thousands of dollars worth of rig. Now, to put it simply, Digital Foundry are getting really good results with these cards on PC, and I do stress that there is a layer of optimization to consoles. Not sure why anyone would dispute this. I feel like it's obvious that if a developer knows that he's he's making something for targeted hardware, not a million different combinations of parts, that he might be able to get a little bit more juice out of those parts. Again, expect 4K 60 on quite a few games here, and of course 1440p 60 with perhaps some more advanced effects like ray tracing. Now, of course, this will be a console optimized version of ray tracing. You always get people out there that don't really understand what it is or anything about the technology, claiming that it's too demanding, not knowing that, of course, we're not even talking about RTX PC-based ray tracing. We're talking about a very efficient, optimized, perhaps ray tracing with a lower rasterization quality. We are talking about console ray tracing. It will make a big difference, and it'll be interesting to see who pulls it off better, Microsoft or Sony. And again, Digital Foundry did run a ton of benchmarks here, proving that there is a ton of capability here for a console. It is absolutely going to blow people away. They also showed just how much headroom is in these systems at a resolution like 1080p, lending to the 120Hz claims of both Microsoft and Sony. When it comes to 8K buzzwords, don't forget the fact that they are exactly that for this upcoming generation, buzzwords. While you may have some titles, maybe racing games and lesser demanding titles trying to utilize 8K resolution, maybe some others doing it through reprojection and checkerboarding, I happen to know for a fact that they are not targeting an 8K audience with Project Scarlett. That is something I was told by someone directly involved. Something that people also have to remember when thinking about the jump from this generation to the next is the fact that you need to get rid of the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro in your head when you are considering how big this jump is. Fact is, 95% of people still have the base consoles, the 1.34 and the 1.86 teraflop machines. You are jumping to, if we stuck to the same generational rules, what would be a 13 or 14 teraflop machine. But of course, as I covered earlier, that would now be around 9 when it comes to the Navi architecture. So not only is it the largest leap we've ever seen in consoles, but you will not have those bottlenecks that you've had before. Again, keyword here is balance. Add to that cherry on top features and tech like SSDs and ray tracing, not to mention lightning fast CPUs, and these things are going to be very, very fast, especially for the price, which is most important. I've said it before in other videos, but I think a lot of this will come down to custom silicon. Who is going to have perhaps more ray tracing power, more ray tracing cores? Who can pull off something that's really cool, perhaps multitasking RT cores that can also simulate physics? There are a lot of different possibilities. Let me know what you think some of them might be. Also, let me know if you are all about that 600 or so % boost to that CPU power. And again, be very excited. But hey, let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, share this with a buddy. Maybe, of course, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're into this kind of stuff, keep it locked here. Of course, I try to give you the most accurate take on what's going on with these new systems while keeping everything nice and grounded. These systems are about a year away, and trust me, it'll be here before you know it. So it's about time to start ramping up that hype train. Again, thank you for all you do. Check out the links down below. Hit that join button if you want to support the channel. Check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. I'm Dealer. I'm out.